All right. So, all right, we got it now. All right. So, what I was saying is that a lot of people, when we stop that sodium, because a lot of people feel that when you have a lot of vegan products has a lot of sodium, but what a lot of people do fail is that it really determines on your overall intake. Okay, that's what really matters at the end. Because I get a lot of people who comment into my posts when I show like vegan mock meats, and the first thing they usually point out is like the sodium intake, vegans and non-vegans as well, they show this. But what people don't really understand is that certain people who need sodium or needs low sodium is usually people who's not really active, right? These are the individuals that can't take on a high amounts of sodium, all right? But when it comes to the average person should be consuming sodium somewhere around 1,500 milligrams all the way up to 2,500 milligrams. You have to understand that sodium is actually healthy for you. Okay. Sodium helps with your electrolyte balance in the body. Also, as well, it helps when it comes to transporting nutrients throughout the body. So you can't just eliminate all sodium and then demonize every single food item that you see and just consider it high sodium intake, because what is considered high sodium, what's considered high sodium intake is your overall intake itself. Now, certain foods can be high in sodium if it doesn't match up, if it goes over your overall consumption. That is something that I would say is very high in sodium. If it's like I ate one particular product and it went over like 1,500 milligrams, or maybe it's like 1,000 milligrams, that could be high. But again, it still really revolves around your overall intake. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and pull up the my blood work again, which I was showing last week where I stopped at. Because for someone like myself, and you wouldn't even believe it, someone like myself, I consume somewhere around 3,500, like on average 3,500 milligrams of sodium. It's a lot higher than the average person. It's about 1,000 milligrams higher. But this is usually normal when it comes to people that are athletes, people that train vigorously. Okay. So this is what I work with as well when it comes to my own students. We make sure that they're getting enough sodium so so they're able to be very active and optimal when it comes to their gains. Because sometimes when you're like lacking energy, you feel tired, all this jazz, that's usually, it could be from lack of sodium and your body's not holding water appropriately. Okay. So let me go ahead and show this right now. Just give me a second as I pull this up. All right. And I have like multiple cameras here. So just give me a second while I and do this real quick. All right. And then but if y'all have any questions, just let me know. You can go ahead and ask in the chat. I can answer them for you. It's definitely not a problem as I go ahead and do this. Just give me a second though. All right. So let's see. All right. Just hold on, you guys, as I pull this up, and I have to also start another meeting as well. All right. So let's do this.
Recording in progress.
And then let's go ahead and show y'all exactly what I wanted to show y'all. Just give me a sec. So I'll take a little bit. Where is it? Let's go here. And then go here. And then I have to go for the YouTube live for you guys who's watching the YouTube. Just give me a sec. All right. Share screens. So I can share screens here. All right, so this is the blood work. I'm going to go ahead and get you guys on Instagram as well, so y'all can see. All right, so we were looking at this. All right, we were looking at the. Unfortunately, everyone on TikTok they can't see it, but we're looking at the creatine, the sodium intake. So as you can see right here, when it comes to the sodium, right, we're at 138, and this is where you're supposed to be at when it comes to your overall results, somewhere around that 136 to that 145. Now, again, I've been vegan for over 11 years. I have my tofu, I have my tempeh, I eat sodium, products that has sodium in it. Again, my sodium intake is somewhere around 3,500 milligrams per day. And this is one of the reasons why I'm really big on tracking, tracking your foods, making sure what you're consuming. Because before you just go on and just start commenting and saying things like, or even tricking yourself, like saying like, oh, this is high in sodium, this is bad for you. If you actually take the time to actually track everything that you're actually consuming, you actually know the truth behind what's healthy and what's not. Because these applications like MyFitnessPal, they tell you exactly the nutritional facts. And what, again, at the end of the day, it's not about what foods are good and what foods are bad. It's about really having that balance. And if you're someone who's very confused on having balance within your diet, I highly recommend, downloading MyFitnessPal and start tracking the food you eat. This is what's really going to tell you if you're living a healthy lifestyle or not. Because if you could have some Oreos. I know I made even content on Oreos, shitting on Oreos, right? But the reality is like it's only bad if you're like over consuming it. Okay. If you're like eating that thing every single day. And truthfully, you could probably find a way to be able to eat it every single day and still be healthy. And then at the same time, we have our potassium. Okay. A lot of people think that you can't get nutrients on a plant based diet. Again, I've been vegan for 11 years, man. Look at the potassium intake 4.1. All right. And then this right here shows where you're supposed to be. So I'm in the optimal ranges. All right. Chloride 100, 98 through 100. All right. Then we have our calcium. People say like if you're living a vegan diet, you cannot get calcium. And this is wrong. You can get a lot of calcium on a plant-based diet. It's very simple, it's very easy. Okay. But again, look at this 9.3. It's right here in the ranges. Then we have our total protein. All right. Again, in the ranges. The more we go down, you'll see that everything is in range. It doesn't matter. Okay. It really doesn't matter. All right. Look at my thyroid. Thyroid is in range. Okay. Then if we go to vitamin D, this is the big one. People think you can't get enough vitamin D. People think that you're going to be deficient on a plant-based lifestyle. And this is false. I get most of my vitamin D from mushrooms. I take supplements and also the sun, which the sun is going to be the best. And as you can see, I'm over the reference. So I'm getting more than enough vitamin D. And if you want to know how much I actually take, I take somewhere around 8,000 IUs. That's what I take for supplements because I'm a black guy. So darker individuals needs more vitamin D because of the melanin in our skin. It doesn't absorb vitamin D well. So we need to actually sit in the sun more. It protects us from UV rays, which is great. But at the same time, you have to get more vitamin D for the absorption. All right. And then this is a big one right here, B12. All right. A lot of people feel that you cannot get B12 through a plant-based diet. They feel that when you're on a plant-based diet, the only way you can get that B12, right, is through meat. And this is false once again. If this is the case, why is my B12 high? Okay. 1685 is over the recommended amount. All right. It's still considered safe to be over range. It's not extremely too high. But this is just to show you that you can get your B vitamins on a plant-based diet. Now, you might be asking, where can you get your B vitamins, or where do you get your B vitamins? How are you able to get it? Well, some of it really boils down to when it comes, most of it really comes down to when it comes to, sorry, yeah. Most of it really boils down to when it comes to um, dark leafy vegetables, a lot like kale, spinach, things like that have a lot of B12 in it. But if you're looking for a significant source of B12, then you can do nutritional yeast. This has a lot of B12 in it as well. Also, you can do fortified foods like your plant-based milks. A lot of them are fortified with B12 in it. You got cereals that's fortified with B12 in it. So there's other sources you can get it. And when people start talking about like it's natural, or you get it from a supplementation, what's not natural, what's not, you're literally cherry picking things, and it doesn't make any type of logical sense by cherry picking your diet. It really doesn't. I actually personally hate when people do this stuff, because the same people who's commenting like what's fake and what's not, but you're consuming processed things no matter what. We live in a processed world. That's the reality. Okay. So every time you have a cup of Joe, Joe coffee, for you young guys who don't know what that is, that's processed. If you have peanut butter, that's processed. If you have a cookie, that's processed. Cakes, pancakes that you make, your protein powders that you consume, that's all processed. You have a protein bar, that's processed. That's actually ultra processed. There's a lot of things out there that's processed. So it just because something is processed or fake doesn't mean that it's not good for you. And you have to kind of think about it. If it was so bad, they wouldn't have it in like grocery stores, especially like Whole Foods and Plum Market, like high-end grocery stores as well, that really focuses on like the quality of the foods. So that's some of the things you really have to think about, because it's very tiring sometimes when someone comes to me or they say in the comment sections stating like what's fake, what's not, and then they don't even know what they're consuming when it comes to animal byproducts. Like, do you know the steak that you're eating, the diet that cow actually been on? Because half of those cows eat fake shit. They eat, how they get their B12 is some of it's not even from the dirt. Some of it is fortified in the feed, because you have to understand most of these guys, most of these animals, right? When it comes to the agriculture, the factory farms, they mostly eat soy, corn, and wheat, right? And then when they're eating this feed, they add extra supplementation into the feed so they can get the nutrients that they actually need. Okay, that's the reality. Now, if you're getting grass fed or something like that, that could be a little bit different. But when you're talking about your conventional meat, this is what majority of the people are consuming. Majority of people are consuming this. Okay, so you're looking for the cheapest price when it comes to your meat. You're getting conventional meat, and your conventional meat those cows actually ate processed foods. They're eating foods that's processed, because they're not just eating wheat right off the vine. They grind them up. Anything that's changed from its natural state is considered processed. Okay, anything is considered processed. So you have to remember that. And they're adding in extra vitamins and minerals to their feed so they can be healthier. Okay, you have to remember it's a product. Like the farms look at animals as a product. So if they're trying to make a good product, they're going to do whatever it takes to get the better quality of that meat, to make it better than it normally is. Okay, it's not just natural. All right, nothing's really natural. Okay, there's a spectrum of what's natural and what's not. Like, where in that spectrum is considered natural? Now, if, for example, if you ate an apple that tastes like a fucking grape, that would probably be on the very unnatural side because apples shouldn't be tasting like grapes. And you might be thinking, like, is he full of shit? No, there's actual apples that taste like grapes that's in stores. Seriously. Like they have shit out there that there's fruits that taste like something totally different. They have things like that. Or like I said, certain foods that's out there, they're considered ultra processed. That will be on the higher spectrum. But if you're looking at foods with minimum ingredients, this is going to be more on the lower spectrum of being processed or not. And then obviously, if you're eating foods at its original state, right? And the only foods that's mostly at its original state is going to be your fruits and vegetables, grains, legumes, nuts and seeds. These are considered true natural foods because the only thing that goes into the process of that is water and sunlight. Okay. Maybe they use some, and we can go like deeper into it because, depending, because when it comes to the fruits and vegetables, you have conventional, which, is GMO, genetically modified. So again, that goes on into that spectrum of what's natural or not. It's natural, but how it was grown through the process is unnatural. And then you have your organic foods, which more is like, if conventional, like if we have a spectrum like here, and this is the highest, GMO will probably be at here. Non-GMO will probably be more closer to the natural side. But even when things are organic and non-GMO, if you do your research, you'll notice that they can still use certain pesticides and things to protect the crops from bugs. Okay. So again, we live in a world that a lot of things aren't really natural. We just need to make sure we're getting the best quality. If you're truly interested in what you put into your body. If you don't care, then you eat what you want. Okay. But this is why I'm showing you these things, because, I just want y'all to know that it's highly possible to be healthy as a vegan. Okay. It's super easy. You just have to make sure you have a true balance when it comes to your lifestyle. Now, if we go down some more, going over to B12, I think that is it. Okay. So we're just going to do a recap, and then for the people on TikTok, I can show y'all like everything. Okay. I only have two hands, so like, I'm just trying to show everyone on Instagram real quick. But if we go down here, we'll start from the beginning, like A1C levels. Like this is like your blood sugar levels. Again, I'm not eating a bunch of crap every single day. It's in range. All right. And they use A1C to make sure you're not like pre-diabetic and things like that. Then we went over like the red blood count, hemoglobin levels, HCT. As you see, everything's in range. Even my platelets and stuff is in range. So that's like, if you got a cut, how fast can you recover? How fast would your white blood cells start creating those platelets so it can stop the bleeding? My lymph nodes are in range. Okay. The more we go down, you can see that everything's good. Cholesterol is in range. Okay. And guess what? And again, what I said last week, when it comes to cholesterol, you don't need to be adding more cholesterol to your diet. You just don't. Your body creates its own cholesterol. All right. So, and I'm vegan, so there's no way I can get cholesterol in my diet. I've been doing it for 11 years. So I'm not going around eating eggs behind people's back. I'm not that type of individual. If I was eating eggs, I'd just tell you I eat eggs, but I don't. Okay. The only way you could get extra cholesterol is through animal byproducts. Now, can someone eat animal byproducts and still be in a healthy range of cholesterol? Yes, they can. But the only problem is that what most people don't really pay attention to, again, they're not tracking all the foods that they're eating. So what happens is that if you're not tracking the foods you're eating and you're just listening on Instagram and all the social media platforms and these gurus, and they're like, yeah, just do an animal-based diet, eat what you want, just eat protein, but you're not measuring the out of the protein that you're eating, how much cholesterol you're getting. What's going to happen? It's going to spike your cholesterol levels. You're going to have high cholesterol, and then after that, you're going to face some type of health related disease in the future for sure. All right. And then you have to also pay attention to your triglyceride ranges as well, which you can see mine's in range. It's on a very lower end, and this is like the fat that's in within the blood. Okay, and the lower you can get your cholesterol levels, the lower you can get your triglycerides levels is going to be good. Okay, then if we go down to the HDL, the higher your HDL cholesterol, which is your good cholesterol, the better. All right. So you can see mine is high. All right. So this is, and then we look at creatine. You know, people say you can't get creatine on a plant-based diet. You can only get it through meat. First of all, there's creatine supplements that if you work out, most people already take. Right. And then the next thing is going, if you see, mine's at the very top end. So guess what? I'm getting more than enough creatine. And the only creatine I actually take is from a supplement. I take like the normal average intake, what most people take, somewhere between 5 to probably even 7 grams of creatine per day. Okay. And then we went over the sodium levels. We went over all that stuff. Okay. So I just wanted to show you all that when it comes down to my blood work, so y'all can understand that, hey, you can definitely be healthy on a plant-based diet. It's super easy to do. Just make sure that you minimize like ultra processed foods. Make sure if you're going to do something processed, what I do normally is this. Most of my protein intake comes from tofu and seitan, mostly. Okay. So I get those two products because those are minimally processed. These types of processed foods has been around for a very long time. Some people don't know what the hell they're talking about when they look at when they know what's processed, what's not. Like some people like go off the handle when they see tofu, but they don't understand that tofu and seitan has been around since the 6th dynasty in China, man. Like Buddhist monks used to make this shit for their diet for religious reasons. I mean, it's something that you can literally make at home. Yeah. But people don't understand that. Like it's just wheat. Like if you want to make seitan, it's just wheat flour. That's all it is. It's made out of wheat flour. The same wheat flour you eat your bread. It's the same shit. And it's like the only difference is that they do a natural isolation process when it comes down to getting the protein. So if you didn't know, like, and I'm just adding more value to this live video, but if you didn't know, when it comes down to wheat gluten, they're using the seed of the wheat. All right. And inside the seed is called the endosperm. So they use that because the endosperm has a lot of nutrients in it. And what they do, and you could do this with flour because the flour, that's what it is, just grinded up wheat, right? So you have the endosperm and everything in the flour, but then what they do is they do something called a coagulating process where they add like some type of acid base to it with some water, and then you just let it soak in the flour, and then the starches actually separates from the protein, and then you just scoop up what's remaining, and then you have wheat gluten, which comes out like this gummy, like it's like a glue type gummy type texture. Or you could just buy wheat gluten, like you could do you could just buy the Vital wheat gluten powder where that process is already done for you, and you can make your own protein at home. You can make your own mock meats and add any type of spices. The only difference from when you buy it from the store versus making it on your own is from the store, it's already pre-made. That's it. Because it does take a while to make wheat gluten. It takes a while to make some of these mock meats. And a lot of people don't have time for that. So I'd rather go ahead and spend like $4 to $6 on something that's already pre-made, already pre-seasoned. And that's why I always show y'all the nutrition facts on foods. If you don't see it, look it up yourself, like do the fucking research yourself, look it up, and you'll notice that if it's just seasonings and stuff like that, again, it's nothing to be scared of. All right. Now, I guess I can go ahead and answer some questions. So one person said from TikTok, what made you go vegan? So one of the reasons why I went vegan is basically because for the animals, really. It happened to me about 11 years ago, maybe even 12 years ago at this point, when I was in school and I was learning about public speaking. Okay, this shit I'm doing right now. And the only difference was that we were learning things about persuasive speaking because there's different types of public speaking, right? So we were learning more about persuasive and like changing someone's ideology, right? So when I was in class, I saw a guy named Gary Yourofsky. Now he's still alive, still around. He's not big on social media, but he was big before social media even became big. And he's an animal activist. So his jam was going around to colleges and schools teaching people about living a vegan lifestyle, right? And remember, 11, 12 years ago, there was barely any type of mock meats. And if there was, it wasn't that great. The only ones that was really good was really Tofurky. That's the only product that I thought that was good, especially when it came to seitan. You know, you had the tofu, but when it came to anything, and you had tempeh, but when it came to anything else like vegan chicken and Gardein Impossible, Beyond, none of these companies existed. None of them, right? I think only companies I realized was some vegan cheese companies, which the vegan cheese, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, tastes like shit. The thing tastes like cardboard back in the days. And then you had like, Yikes, they had some mock meats. Tofurky had some mock meats, and then you had your tofu, tempeh, and then seitan that you would make at home. That was the only options, and everything else was whole foods, plant-based, right? Now, when I went into this journey, this is what he kind of presented. He showed some alternatives. He talked about plant-based foods. He talks about the health. He talked about medical reasons why. He even talked about the treatment of the animals. Now, for someone like myself, I was in the military for 8 years. Okay, I did 4 years fully active United States Marine Corps, another 4 years in U.S. Navy Reserves, and I went to war. I'm a war vet. So I've been to Operation Iraqi Freedom 3 and 4, and I did that tour when I was in the Marine Corps. So I saw a lot of shit. I saw how people treat themselves at the worst. So if you see like on the news, like we all know what's going on. There's multiple wars going on, right? We know the war with Israel and what's going on over there. We know the war in I can't believe I forgot your country. Was it Ukraine, right? You have the war over there, and everyone's like mad, upset, crying, and everyone should be, right? But how I look at it is like war is really bad. It's not about sides. It's about the whole situation at home. Like everybody's suffering, from the bad guys to the good guys to the people all in between. And that's how I look at war. And that's what some of the things I experienced, because it wasn't so much about good guys versus bad guys when I was out there. I felt more sorry about the people that was in between the war, in between that situation. Yeah, there's a lot of civilians in Iraq that they didn't want the war. They didn't want us to be there. They didn't want the war to be happening. And there's a lot of, collateral damage, you can say, that happens. A lot of innocent people that suffer. And this is a lot of stuff that I witnessed, because it's not about like good guy, bad guys. I cared more about the people in between, the innocent people. And when Gary talked about the animals, or you can say the innocent animals, I saw the same reaction when it came to an animal that was about to die with a human. The facial features look the fucking the same. The eyes look the same. So with me, that's what made me transition, because when I saw that video and then Gary kind of talked about these animals being innocent and how they were brought into existence forcefully, right? Because it's not again, when you talk about animal byproducts and stuff, this shit isn't natural. They weren't brought into existence naturally. It was humans played a role in that, right? They did artificial insemination, jerking off bulls, throwing semen inside the cow's uterus and all that crap. Like they do that shit, man. You know what I'm saying? But we put a blind eye on a lot of that stuff and then just want to stand on our high horses and talk about like, yeah, eat meat, eat protein, get strong. But no one cares about all these animals that goes through that shit. And I did, because I was like, bro, like, and especially when you're in the military, in the Marine Corps, you learn about war. Like the Marine Corps is more than just a job. And it's more than just being a Marine and being this badass. Like you learn about the history. There's a lot of brotherhood. Out of all the branches from the military, the Marine Corps is one branch that has more like cohesion. It has more camaraderie because we learn from our past. We learn a lot about the history and the war heroes, and we respect them. It's a lot that goes in to this, right? And when you learn about history and how people suffered and the shit that people went through and the country and what happened to the countries and the children, like they really go deep into the history. They don't just say like, yeah, Marines won this one and we killed the bad guys. No, they tell you about even the repercussions, like, and what happened afterwards, And when you kind of look at that from that perspective, you'll see the same, very similar things happen to animals as well. You know what I'm saying? And that's what made me transition mostly into a plant-based lifestyle. That's why you don't see me, make like, oh, I'm thinking about eating meat again and all this shit, because it's one of the reasons why I disrespect ex-vegans. I think they're just full of shit because they don't know what the fuck they're doing either, and they're just making up some bullshit propaganda about like how unhealthy it was and all this crap versus just being honest and saying like, I just wanted to eat meat, or just saying I don't know what the fuck I was doing because I'm an idiot. Like people don't come out and just be honest, and it's bullshit because it's just what Plant says. The ethics is important, and I think what Plants and Plates said is spot on to sum up what I'm saying. Like the ethics is what's most important, because if you have a real why, right? If you have a strong why, you're going to figure a way to make something work for you. And I know like when it comes to a lot of ex-vegans or people who don't want to be vegan, they just kind of despise it and just want to follow other individuals that promotes their own selfish beliefs. I feel that it's full of shit. It's full of shit, and people don't want to open up their heart and their minds when it comes to other individuals that's involved. And that's my personal take on it. Let me see if there's any more questions. And sorry for all the cursing and stuff. I know some of you guys probably have work and stuff like that, but highly recommend putting on some headphones or put the volume on low. Someone says, no soy here and desperate to get enough protein without the powder. All right. Let's see what else we got. I think that is it. I think that's all the questions. Let me just check. All right. Someone says that someone who's 18 and was 210, I now stand at 175 simply by getting protein in lifting. Okay. Let's keep going down. Yeah, I think, okay. Well, I think that's it. So with that said, hopefully this video was very helpful. I hope everyone enjoyed it and y'all saw some of the benefits of being plant-based. And as I said, I showed the blood work. I showed showed my blood work. This was taken probably like 2 weeks ago. So just showing y'all some proof that it's highly possible to be healthy. I've been doing it for over 11 years. And then I think what I'm going to do next is if the blood work comes in on time, I would like to share my hormone levels. Okay. I think that's going to play a big part. Just because last year, when I did my test, it was in like the 975s, somewhere around there. And I would like to show y'all my current hormone levels as well, and then do comparisons, because when it came to my hormone levels last year, I was on the off season. So, and then the blood work I recently just turned in yesterday, actually. This is about 2 weeks out of prep, just getting off prep. So I would like to see the difference when I'm on prep versus off prep. And then because I didn't want to give out blood work like on prep. Like I don't know what's going to happen, but at least give me at least a week or two to like kind of rebound, get some food in me, stuff like that, and just see where it's at. And then just give a comparison, and then also show y'all that, because I want to show y'all that even when you're on a plant-based diet, and for someone who consumes soy on a regular basis, it doesn't play any effect when it comes to your hormone levels. So I really like to share that with you guys. So with that said, I do these videos every single week, on every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to join in. If you came in late, you can. If you're in my program, it's going to be in the Vegan Academy. If you're not in my program and you want to watch it later, I don't know how TikTok's going to work, but I know for Instagram, I do put it into my subscription base followers. So I do have a subscription base where y'all get some, different content that's more real. Like you get like, I don't want to sound like the content put out is fake, but like the content, like for example, like I put out like exclusive content, I guess that's the best way of saying it, and then all the live videos I save them so y'all can watch it as well later. So I do that too for the subscription followers on Instagram. But with that said, I'll go ahead and let y'all go. Hopefully this was helpful, and hopefully y'all have a great rest of your week. Okay, peace.
Recording stopped.